So we saw people not caring in the 80s and then 90s and then caring again. And right now, it's a big deal with people. People are finally figuring out that's really not a Chinese hoax, this climate change. It's real. We need to do something. Let's do something now. And so we're seeing a huge increase in people caring about the environment. So good for business.
Welcome to the Business Ownership Podcast, brought to you by Awareness Strategies, helping you navigate the waters between entrepreneurship and ownership. Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedelec, and I am super excited that you're here with us today because I'm here with my most amazing guest, Jonathan. Jonathan, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks. And really, am I your most amazing guest, Michelle?
You are.
That's really something
I'm super
special.
excited.
Thanks.
Right?
All right.
So give everybody the highlight of who you are and what you do for business.
Sure. So I started two companies about 30 some years ago. One is called New Energy Works. We are a heavy timber and high performance design build company. And then an offshoot of that, which has grown about the same size, is Pioneer Millworks. We do millworks like flooring, paneling, siding from reclaimed and sustainably harvested wood. As a general comment, we're about 160 coworkers, separated mostly between New York State and Oregon. And we are 100% employee-owned ESOP, or employee stock ownership program.
Very fun. So this is awesome. And let's kind of back up the bus a little bit. How did you get into lumber and flooring as your thing?
Well, like a lot of entrepreneurs, we just simply didn't leave the room soon enough. We just were suddenly sucked into this vacuum. And for me, interestingly, it was a lot about environmentalism. Early 80s, I was a real strong environmentalist, working in recycling and all things like that, and realized that, really where my passion was in building things. And once you get into that, you can see that there's a lot of bad building, so to speak, or not as good building. And you can see that there's some opportunities to improve the building process. Buildings and the building process, the use of materials, the operational costs of the lifespan of those buildings. It all is huge environmental issues. So for me, it was my balance between being an entrepreneur and being an environmentalist that started New Energy Works, as you can imagine from the title.
Right.
So yeah, it was pretty fascinating in that, just interest in balancing the two. Michelle, we're with our coworkers forever and ever, it seems like, and all day long. So it also was interesting to me to do something very beautiful and special and high craft because it would attract better coworkers as well.
Very fun. So I have grown up in the age where it went from, trees are recyclable to, no, they're not. We need to use plastic to, oh my God, this stuff never goes away, to back to, I think that we should be using trees and things that are a little more environmentally friendly. How have you seen that story arc go, and what kind of compels you to be working with it the way you are?
Yeah, it is interesting. And you say that you went from trees are recyclable to plastic. I mean, the plastic industry is really proud of their work in marketing, and
Right.
and the many falsehoods involved there. Doesn't mean we don't need some plastics. We probably just don't need as many. So, truth is truth. And it was pretty clear to me all along that the best thing we could do was be incredibly great stewards of this earth, building great buildings. And I did see the same arc as you, interestingly enough. In the early 80s, we were still in the basking of, well, frankly, I go way back to Jimmy Carter's efforts in the environment. And I like to say if we had just stayed with his program, we wouldn't be in the mess we're in now. But instead, things like the solar industry got canned, and people started to not care anymore. So our interest in environmentalism had to rely on the fact that we were going to build people the most beautiful house that they can imagine. But while doing so, we were also going to give them the very best envelope and materials that they can imagine, whether they wanted to or not. And of course, they'd laugh and I'd laugh. And yeah, sure enough, they would be a super insulated home that is gorgeous. And I think those balance out each other pretty nicely. So we saw people not caring in the 80s and then 90s and then caring again. And right now, it's a big deal with people. People are finally figuring out that's really not a Chinese hoax, this climate change. It's real. We need to do something. Let's do something now. And so we're seeing a huge increase in people caring about the environment. So good for business.
I don't think anybody ever quit caring about the environment. It would be rather silly to see it that way. But I do think that with the resources that we're using to be able to build things, because we're not going to live without a house. I mean, you might be able to get away with that in parts of Florida, maybe, but everywhere we go, we're going to want a house. So when it comes to the homes that you're building, what makes them unique and fun and gets you excited to wake up in the morning about them?
So I'm a wood guy, and again, we talk about the environmental aspects of wood, but we also can talk about its gorgeousness and its craftability, so to speak. So, our homes are a little on the woody side, or a lot on the woody side, honestly, and with heavy timbers and wood flooring and wood ceilings, and there's a certain honesty and just a sense of, well, the big word these days is biophilic, which is a sense of being in one with our natural surrounding, our natural earth. And if our homes express that, there's some argument that says we can be healthier people if we live in a good setting of natural materials. I think that's that whole basis of the biophilic conversation right now for folks who are interested. So keeps me interested is, right now, of course, I don't necessarily build the homes anymore. I run an organization with, as I say, 160 coworkers and doing all sorts of crazy things around the country. And so that's kind of keeps me going day in and day out.
Nice. I love it. So when it comes to the well, let's want to talk a little bit more about the product that you're offering and what's going on with it and where you see kind of your business going and then the evolution of it. So with your homes, like just draw me a picture of kind of how what you do makes you different from your competition.
Okay. So we're a timber framing company.
Yep.
So that means we use heavy posts and beams to express the structure.
Mm-hmm.
And so we raise a frame, somewhat like in an old style barn raising. And then that naked frame is covered in a blanket of insulation on the outside. So all the frame shows on the inside. And then we, after that, we finish a home like most others. We also have our own uh, woodworking shop. So we do much of our own cabinets and stairs and doors and things, as well as I say, our sister company is Pioneer Millworks. So we do quite a bit of flooring, siding, and we all work together in this chaotic but symbiotic relationship. We, of course, work for other people all over the country where we're not doing every single thing, but we offer all those different skills and services. And so, in that way, I suppose we're a little different. Uh,
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of good builders, and there are a lot who don't care. But I think in that way, we probably stand out a little bit.
Awesome. So give us an idea, kind of where do you see your business going and where are you going in the next few years?
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, we decided that at some point I'm going to be transitioning out of the business. I'm aging out now. I'm in my late 60s. And I realized that I had to do something. There's a number of ways to transition a business. One is to get carried out in a box, and leave a mess behind you, or maybe to look for a third party, either a VC firm or something like that, will come in and buy the company. But another way, which was interesting, is to allow the employees who have helped me build this business a part of their future. And the U.S. is unique in that it offers something called an ESOP, Employee Stock Ownership Plan, which is super cool. And it's a way for the employees through this ESOP program to buy out existing ownership. That's a neat opportunity. And there's about 6,500 companies in the country who do this. So about 6 years ago, we took the first step, and I sold 30% of the company to this ESOP, the ESOP again representing all of the employees. And then at the beginning of last year, call it January 1st of 2023, we became 100% employee owned. So now I am no longer the owner. I am still the CEO and founder, but no longer the owner per se. I'm an owner along with quite a few of my coworkers as people become more vested in their stock, their ability to have stock. So it's kind of a cool transition process. I think a lot of business owners that get to be my age worry about how they're going to transition. You know, some are interested in just maximizing the value, some are interested in their legacy. And I think both can be of value. And this ESOP program, if you're large enough to carry its costs, can be a really good thing to look into.
Nice.
So we started doing that a few years ago, and I figure I've got a couple more years, maybe 3 more years before I really am put out to pasture, whatever the heck that means for my future. But what it does is Michelle, which is kind of cool, it kind of does a better job of ensuring the future of the business and the security of those folks who are in the business. And so from a business standpoint, it creates additional ownership, literally, but also emotionally with their coworkers, and so it allows that sense of security. So it's a good business plan, I think.
Nice. So did you have that planned from the onset, or was that something that kind of occurred to you at some point? And if so, how did that epiphany happen?
Yeah, great question. Um, I I've always been sort of a group ownership people. I mean, I moved out to Portland 15 years ago, leaving the biggest part of the company in New York while I started up a smaller one here. And I always say I couldn't have done that if I didn't have both great coworkers back in New York, but a sense of ownership throughout the company. So there's always been that. We've been told over and over again that our people exhibit that sense of ownership. But I like to say you can't take a sense of ownership to the grocery store or a sense of ownership into your retirement. So we really wanted to look for different ways to make it real. We looked at a few different things like turning it into a workers owned co op or selling shares to people, but we became large enough and complex enough that the ESOP or employee stock ownership plan seemed to make the most sense. This is really about a 15-year genesis, Michelle, which is so important for your listeners to realize that it takes a while to figure it all out. I'd say the least you can do is figure 6 years before you start to really decide you want to retire, or before you want to retire, you have to figure out what transitional route you're going to take. And for me, it took longer than that because I'm kind of slow, but it really has worked out great. I was paid a reasonable amount for the company's value as it was valued by a third party, independent third party valuation firm. And the people that now are working are developing a secondary retirement plan, secondary to our 401k or whatever other, I guess tertiary if you count Social Security or other savings.
Right.
So
So
yeah, so
other
it's
than
been really a good program. Sorry.
nice, other than having, say, an options program where the employees can get options and can buy into the company's stock, what elements of the business are different other than they get an ownership of the company?
Well,
Because there's the old model. Sorry, I'll reiterate that. So there's the old model of we'll give them shares and they have ownership in the company kind of thing. But this is a totally different setup. And yet my understanding of it is that it's a there's a it's not just a fiscal ownership. It's the decision making. It's the what am I going to do in, like, how do I see my career progressing in this company? Like, there's a whole lot of differences happening kind of psychologically, if you want to put it that way. What other?
sure. At the very simplest, an ESOP is just another retirement plan but it can be, as you're implying, more than that. It doesn't have to be more than that. But, again, there's a lot of studies out there that show people care about a lot of things. Yes, their earnings, yes, their benefits, but also, yes, their sense of mission within a company and community within a company. So some people would say, the people who promote employee ownership would say that there are many tangential and not as obvious benefits because there is that sense of community and group ownership. Now, you mentioned the word decision making, and that actually gets a little gray. You do have to make sure there's a line drawn between ownership and management. There is still that clear, hopefully, not always, but hopefully clear delineation between those two. Just because you're an owner in a company doesn't mean you get to decide what's going on. It really depends on your role in that company.
Mhm.
So for us, for instance, we have leadership, and that leadership has a decision-making process. Then there's middle leadership, and then there's folks who are just actually getting the work done, the most important people of all. So, so that differential between ownership and management always has to be kept in mind, whether it's an employee-owned or a more normal business. That clarity is important. So, yeah, like I say, it's a good. It is, however, that sense of ownership can lead to those intangibles I mentioned. For instance, if your value of your stock is going to go up or down based on how you and your team do, if you have, just as a bad example, if you have a laggard working on your team, you're going to say, well, gee, he or she is bringing my stock price down. And so that's not good for me or my other folks who are working hard. So there is a tendency, again, nothing's perfect, but there's a tendency, I think, to self-regulate more than if it's some big commercial entity or maybe the government or something that, is like if there's a laggard there, there's nothing you can do about it, or who really cares, or that sort of thing. So I hate to use that word laggard. How about non-performer?
Somebody who's distracted by other things going on or where that other places they could be.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
well, I love it. So when you're talking about kind of sustainable business models, is this an aspect of it, or is this kind of it works well with it? How does that fit in?
Another great question. So for me, a lot of what I do is, as I've said before, sort of based on mission and values. Those mission and values include a number of things that what we call the triple bottom line, which is people, planet, and profit, all carrying equal weight while we make our decisions in the business. So people, because that's people we work with, people in our community, our church, or our school, or our town, and yes, sure, our state, our country, and the world. Those are the people part. Planet, because well, it's the only one we got, and clearly it needs our help. And profit, because you can't actually be in a viable business without profit. Profit does a lot of things, including help you be better about people and planet. So all three of those items come into equal weight, equal play in our decision-making process. What we find is that actually reads well with our coworkers and our clients, honestly. I mean, to me, it's a good business um, strategy. It's a good business strategy to also do well because clients want to work with companies that they think is going to do well and they care about. People want to work for places that do well and that they think care about more than just lining the pockets of ownership, for instance.
Mhm.
So for me, it's just a really good business strategy, as well as it's the right thing to do for people and for planet. So again, triple bottom line, anyone can look it up. It was coined by some fellow in the 90s whose name I forget. But we've been doing it this way since the beginning. And think it has been one of the things that has overcome a lot of my own incompetence as a leader, and we all are imperfect people. So we make mistakes as leaders, as visionaries, as entrepreneurs. But if you're all pulling in the same direction, it's easier to get past those mistakes. Again, another good business strategy.
Nice. And with some companies, they think of environmental impact studies as part of the planet aspect of it. What else can contribute to that?
Uh, well, I mean, that's great, by the way. And usually those might be bigger companies
Yeah.
because, all of that data driven is hard. I finally, after 30 years, have just established a manager of sustainability within our company. And and she'll do a great job. She's been with us for a while, and this is just a natural evolution for her. But a lot of it is common sense, honestly, Michelle. I mean, there are just things we can do that are more logical. That's everything from promoting, in our case, we have solar panels on the roof of our production facility, 400 solar panels, and there is a return on investment for that sort of stuff. That's, or promoting with our clients using more recycled or higher performance or lower carbon intensive materials. Some of this stuff is just the way you do business. I don't have a good environmental study in our own business, but common sense tells me that we're not doing bad. And that is at least better than nothing, I guess, is best I can say right now.
I know there's a lot of pockets of information of people doing kind of their thing for the environment. I've had one person on the show that came up with a natural resin that they're using in order to use reclaimable woods and other natural aspects to put into the building of houses, all of which are fascinating. And like you tend to, you're a fantastic story that's kind of hidden. Is there a community or an effort of people that are kind of collaborating to make it more known, kind of who's doing what and how we can tap into the experience and the know-how that you already have? Are you aware of anything that's going on right now?
Sure. And actually, thanks for asking. I feel like it's a wonderful plug for some of my favorite organizations.
Nice.
And the Northeast, for instance, is a really powerful group called the Northeast Sustainable Energy Association, or NESE. Within NESE, there's a group of 7 cohorts of 10 companies each, of networking companies, smaller, triple bottom line oriented, mission driven companies. So that's 70 companies right there that are working together. Coincidentally, are meeting as we speak right now in New Hampshire. And normally I would be there, but I'm in Oregon right now and just couldn't make the trip. But wonderful people
You missed
caring
it for
about.
me. I'm so excited.
You bet. I've put everything aside for you, Michelle, as I always will. So so that's really good. NESE, New England's Northeast Sustainable Energy Association. Interestingly, that inspired me personally to start a similar group out here in the Pacific Northwest where I live, and we call it the Building Forward Collaborative. And we've just started up. We've got our first cohort of 10 groups that met a couple of times. We're about to start a second cohort. So if anybody is interested in triple bottom line, mission driven networking, other companies who care about this, figure stuff out, it's a business oriented networking group. We're looking right now at the simple things like bookkeeping systems or marketing systems, but it's only for companies that are interested in this triple bottom line, mission driven. And I guess in this case, it's mostly construction companies or design and that sort of a thing. But it's out here. And again, I'm hoping, Michelle, you'll give people my contact information. They can reach out anytime and, ask me any questions. I'm not a professional consultant. I'm running a business, but I'm happy to answer people, anytime.
Absolutely. So is there any link that you want to give people kind of on an audio basis? Because we will, of course, have all of Jonathan's links in the show notes, and you can go ahead and click on those links, open up a new browser, because we're not done yet. But is there any links that you wanted to give?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, our design build company that does these timber frame high performance homes all around the country is newenergyworks.com. And our reclaimed and recycled wood company that does paneling and shosugiban siding and flooring is pioneermillworks.com. And I'm Jonathan at either of those, JONATHAN at newenergyworks.com. Yeah, reach out anytime.
Nice. You gave a very funky word for something siding.
Yeah. Shosugiban. It's a method. It's a Japanese method of charring wood and then using that charred wood as siding.
Yep.
And it's really a huge part of our business right now. People are using it all over the country. It acts as a way to stabilize and treat the wood uh, by taking away um, the food, so to speak, for bacteria. It's kind of cool and it's gorgeous and it's really popular right now.
Nice. I've seen a ton of artwork done with it and like outdoor patio furniture done that way, but I hadn't heard of it being done on siding.
Oh,
That is
okay.
fun. And so basically what it is that charring process just kind of gets rid of the bacteria and stuff on the surface of the wood, or does it kind of create a protective layer? How does that?
Yeah, it's a few things. It does starve bacteria from the sugars in the wood. It also, in certain circumstances, it actually, if a fire were to jump on its face,
Yep.
it doesn't have fuel because it's just char, and it also does fight ultraviolet degradation a little bit, which is always an issue with exterior products. But it's also just gorgeous and a good way to treat wood.
I love it. So many fascinating questions that I could keep you here all day, but I won't. So peeps, go ahead and scroll down, check out those links. Like I said, open up in a new browser because we're not done yet. So Jonathan, I get to ask you, at what point in life did you know you were a special kind of crazy enough to think that you could become an entrepreneur?
Never did. I never knew that. I actually had to look back and go, "Hey, look what I became." Similar to being ADHD. I never really realized I was ADHD until like I was 30 years into adulthood, and then going, "Oh, that's why I'm so scattered." Typical entrepreneur, right? We are, most of us have a certain amount of ADHD. And so sometimes you look back and you say, oh, that's where I've been walking. So I don't think I really knew ahead of time, or maybe I wasn't conscious enough to know ahead of time exactly where I would be going. I just kept walking or
Right.
running and pushing. And I think that's really a defining factor in people like me. We just keep walking, keep running, keep pushing.
I love it. You've been absolutely awesome. Any last words for our
Thanks.
peeps?
No, just look up the triple bottom line. If you're running a business, it's good business to be mission driven, people care, and it's also good for the world. And I think if all businesses treated their business instead of a personal pocketbook, like instead maybe as a social opportunity,
Mhm.
whether civil or social or ecological change, I think we'd be a better place, frankly. So, and I hope you think about that.
Love it. Thank you, Jonathan, so much for your time. I appreciate it, and I know how valuable it is.
Michelle, thanks so much for the time.
Awesome. Peeps, this is Michelle Nedelec. Thank you for being here with us today. Be sure to subscribe to the show and share it with your friends. We love helping entrepreneurs grow.
Are you running a business over 7 figures but still struggling with technology headaches? Pay attention, you do not want to miss this offer. This podcast episode is brought to you by Awareness Strategies, who is offering a custom-built digital adoption roadmap for anyone running a business over 7 figures who's wanting to grow their business in the next 5 years. And it's not just a roadmap, they offer full implementation as well if that scares the out of you. Check out awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap for more details today. The link's in the show's notes. Don't regret not doing this. Do it now. That's awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap.